this video, I'm going to show another way I practice the diminished scales and just with one octave, and also how I play the two different forms starting on the same note. And what I found is instead of just saying, well, here's how I use it over this particular chord change or in a blues or something, I'm just practicing these scales purely as a technical exercise first, and then secondly as gaining harmonic vocabulary for improvising. And there's tons of vocabulary in there, and I want to get into that and show some examples of it. And once you start playing them, you hear people using them in different spots. But for technique, you just can't be going through these three forms. There's three different ones, two forms of each, six in total. And it just takes you through different parts of the horn, different fingering combinations. So this particular video is quick. It just shows a couple of quick ways to do the scale. Alright, notice where I put the skip in the scale between the A and the C, and then when I'm descending I put it between the D flat and the B flat, and that puts me in position to come back up to C. And those are the two different forms of the scale. Then if you look at the second line, I start on the B flat ascending and skip it between the G and the B flat, then I come down on that A form and I skip between the C and the A. Okay, now I'm going to play the descending form where the scale begins by descending. I didn't bother writing this out because we really need to memorize these anyway to get the most use out of them. So this is just a quick way to do it, and this way you get both forms of the scale. It makes you much more familiar with it. Alright, so here's another way I play them, where in this case I start on C and I play the half step whole step form, then I play the whole step half step form, both starting using C as a starting point. And this is a good way just to keep these straight, to play them. It helps you to visualize the notes you're playing. You should memorize these. I only wrote it out in this one key. It's really a great thing. By learning them this way, it's a very practical way to be able to apply them then instead of just having like a single lick you're going to trot out. You really understand how the scales work and everything. Alright, here's one more way I do it, and I kind of weave up a little bit then come back down. And the more things I do like this, the more I understand how this 8-note scale works. Being symmetrical, it's easy to figure out a place to start and stop and make these different forms with it. When I learn it like this, instead of just learning specific licks, it just makes me more fluent, more literate in the actual sound. Okay, now I'm going to start on the G below that A that this one starts on to get the other form. So what I have found is that these things are just really fantastic for my technique, and I learn them in all the forms. There's really three groups of 8 notes, and then there's two forms in each. There's 6 different scales, really. There's three groups that can split into two forms. So when I memorize them and I learn them, and I go up and down the horn with them, and I sort of took me there's a bit of a learning curve. It took me a while to learn them, but it's just been really great for my technique. I highly recommend it.